So, welcome back, participants. Now we are at the session third of today's program. Today we have a very great speaker with us. She has already taken a lecture on schemes of MSMEs and pre-feasibility study report preparation. She has already told us many things related with these two topics. So we are again. I welcome you, ma'am, in this program. Today she will discuss on the topic negotiations and networking. Negotiation means it's just a strategic discussion. Negotiation, it's applies at every aspects of life. Obviously it will be impact on your business also. That's why this topic is taken here in this session. So just a strategic discussions that resolve an issues in a way that both the parties find acceptable. That means we should find some mutual concern that both the parties should be agree on that. And negotiation is just a dialogue, you can say also, between two or more people or parties intended to reach a beneficial outcome. Obviously whatever dialogue you will decide for the futuristic point of view, it will be beneficial for the future. So for more discussing, for highlighting more on this topic, we have again Dr. Dragni Johri ma'am with us. She is already taking us so many lectures. I will just brief one or two line about ma'am. She is a postgraduate in business administration and a PhD in training and development section. She served the corporate sector for 4 years, during which she was associated with the brand like Coca-Cola, Thumbs Up, and Wipro Technologies. She has having a 25 years of experience and training and teaching experience. Presently, she is associated with the Flying Club, and she has many research paper to her credit on various subjects like marketing, strategy, IPR, HR issues, SMEs, retails published in a reputed national and international journal. So please, I just hand over the session to ma'am. Ragni ma'am, please just focus on negotiation and networking sector. Thank you, ma'am. Am I
Thank you,
audible?
Yashima.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, welcome, ma'am.
Yeah, should I start, Yashima?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Okay. So, good evening to all. And yes, now that this program is coming to an end, and of course, this was a good program owned by Dr. Prithwal and the Department of Science and Technology. Uh, because entrepreneurship is the need of the hour today, right? And that is why this program has been going. And when we are talking of entrepreneurship, guys, so obviously entrepreneurship means starting your own venture, starting your own business. And when we talk about business, you, in order to reach that business, you have to be a seller, right? And that means you need to know a lot of people, you need to negotiate with those people. Those people could be your business partners, your suppliers, your buyers, as well as the bureaucrats and other people who are in any way influencing your business. So that is why this topic is very, very relevant out here. As Jayashree ma'am also talked about, that is the topic that I'm going to discuss now is networking and negotiation. So obviously, for smoothly conducting your business, for carrying out your business, for growing your business, you require to network a lot. Networking, interacting with people, making them acquaintances, making them friends, and using them at some other point of time. That is what is all required in business, right? And while you're doing this, of course, in several points of time, you'll have to negotiate your terms. Maybe in terms of prices, maybe in terms of business terms, maybe in terms of some other service terms. So that way, this whole thing comes in a package. That is networking and negotiation. And so today I'll be focusing, I'll be throwing some light on this particular topic, that is networking and negotiation. So I just connect my PPT and share my PPT with you all. Right? Yeah. So I'll be speaking on these two topics, and I'll try to connect them together. I try to associate this with the main topic, that is entrepreneurship. So let us start moving ahead together. The first aspect that I'll be taking up is networking. So what exactly do we understand by the term networking? Networking is basically that is building relationship. We all know that this is an era of relationships. More connected we are with others in the society, more interconnected we are with different people in different walks of life. It is beneficial for us, right? So that is why this networking is required. Now, what do we understand by the term network? Before this, probably would have heard about this word, would have read about this word network from the perspective of computers, where we talk about LAN, WAN, and all those things, right? So here, of course, the concept you can say yes, similar to it, but it is more towards having people instead of computer nodes, right? So here, from this perspective, we can say networks are clusters of people joined together by a variety of links. This variety, when we talk of variety of links, these varieties can be by way of they being your relatives, by way of they being your siblings, they being your parents, mother, father, or they be by being your friends, your acquaintances, or it may not be any such kind of link, a societal link. It can be more of a professional link. You might be connected with, say, the this the director of say DIC, right, or the chairperson of DIC. No, DIC, the chairperson of DIC obviously is not in any way your kith and kin. But yes, because you're an entrepreneur, so you have to know that person, because ultimately, if you have to get your loans funded, you have to get some kind of financial assistance through any of the MSME scheme, you have to approach him off and on, right? So those kind of people, then bureaucracy, then other such people in government or in other such areas. So network over here is the cluster of people who have joined together by different types of links, right? Now, this network or these connections can be primary or secondary. Now, how do we understand and what do we understand by the term primary and secondary connections? Primary connections which are directly related to us, which are through, through which we are directly connected. Remember Facebook, right? We all use Facebook. And Facebook, as we all know, is a very good site for networking. So obviously through this Facebook, there we are connected to hundreds and thousands of people. But do we actually know all of them? No. Some of them are our relatives, our kids and kin, our blood relatives, our sisters and brothers, and then some of them are our friends, and then some of them are their friends, and then some of them are the friends of friends of friends. Okay? But yes, of course, we are all connected together. So whatever we are sharing, it is being shared. It is reaching to all those people whom, including those whom we have never seen, whom we have never talked. We don't know them at all. But yes, they are in our friends list. Right? We are connected with them. So when I say this primary and secondary connections, so primary connections are all those connections who are actually in our list of friends and acquaintances, and of course the relatives are there, right? Whom we know, we have met, we have talked, we know, we can, if we find them somewhere, we can at least recognize them by face. Then, of course, secondary connections are there. Those are the connections of actually the or maybe the connections of those primary connections, right? We might have met once, we might have interacted, maybe once or twice, or we might have not at all interacted or met. But yes, we are connected, right? For example, how many of you would be connected to Bill Gates, right? Many people. But do we all know Bill Gates, or does Bill Gates know everyone? No. But yes, he'll never say no if you send a friend request to him. Right? So that is the secondary connection. But then somewhere down the line, he may also utilize, or he may use your connection, your being networked with you, and the vice versa. So this way, in this network of people, or cluster of people, we have primary and secondary connections. Moving further, then we talk of the objectives of networking. Networking objectives, of course, we all have our reasons, but these are certain common objectives, common reasons why a person wants to network or have a link with others to get a job or a different job, right? If you're looking for a job, yes, you want a decent job, you want to be connected with others. You start searching LinkedIn, Instagram. You start searching who is the person who is actually capable of fetching you a decent job. You start, and the first thing that you do is start making friends. You start apply for a connection, networking, right? Or maybe something different. You entrepreneur, right? Because you know that you would be requiring the services of different people in different walk of life. So yes, why not start making connections from now to perform better at your current job, right? Of course, because then there, sorry, you need people to support you, who are your supporters, whom you have networked, to advance in your organization, to stay current in your field, to maintain mobility, to develop and maintain relationships, both professional and personal. Common objectives of networking, whether you are looking for a job, you are an entrepreneur, you are simply a housewife, and you want to know about society, about the people around you, or you are in academics or anything, whatever, right? But of course, because see, it's a very old saying and very popular one, that a human being is a gregarious animal. We cannot live in isolation. We need people around us. So obviously, we need to do the networking. And for entrepreneur, this is more required. Okay, moving ahead. Yeah. The process of networking, it's 5 basic tasks are performed. First thing, you perform a self-assessment and for yourself and set goals for yourself. Create a 1 minute self, develop a network, conduct networking interviews, and maintain the network. Now, what these are? Let's go one by one. The first thing, that is self-assessment and setting objectives. These are two things that, in fact, I must say these are two different things, separate things. but they go hand in hand. That is why they've been mentioned together. Self-assessment means assessing yourself, your capabilities, your skills, right? And based on that only, you can set a target and objective for yourself. So, what to do here? Very first thing, the self-assessment basically helps clarify your skills, competencies, and knowledge. This is what I just now said. It talks about, it basically lets you understand your skills, your competencies, and your knowledge level. It gives insight to what is important to you, your preferences. There are so many things that you want to do at one point of time, but please understand, you cannot do everything at all at one point of time, right? So you have to prioritize. You have to prioritize based on importance. So the self-assessment will give you or will let you understand what is important for you at that particular point of time. If you are going to sit for an exam, most important thing would be to prepare for your exams well, right? All other things become secondary. So obviously, your competencies, your knowledge, your skills, your time, everything should be devoted to revising your syllabus. But at the same time, if you are starting, if you are beginning to start your own venture, obviously what is most important at that time is that you put your skills, competencies, knowledge, all your efforts, your time, everything into deciding upon what all has to be done and how it has to be done. Whatever you have planned for your venture, it should be materialized, and that too in a stipulated time period. Right? So obviously your focus should be there. This is of most important thing. All other things become secondary. So the self-assessment will let you understand, because I have seen in many cases that based on this self-assessment, many people who were initially thinking of starting their own venture, or thinking of becoming entrepreneur, later on decided, no, this is not our cup of tea. So let us do something else, what we can actually do. So that is why the self-assessment is so much important. Right? Now, how this has to be done, or how you can do this self-assessment. So there are three things to do here. The first thing is, write down at least 2 to 3 of your accomplishments that define your skills and abilities. Right? At least you would know what all are your accomplishments, what all have you achieved so far based on your skills and competencies, right? Because what actually happens is, when you have to talk about somebody, when you have to tell somebody that this is, I'm good in this, at that time you should not be just thinking and telling. It should be on your tips. So that kind of confidence is required. Secondly, since the other part, that is setting objectives. So setting objectives, or by setting objectives, these accomplishments are going to come handy, right? Because then you will know that based on your skills, what all have you accomplished, and on that basis only you will understand that what objectives or goals to be set up for that. Then tying these accomplishments to the job. That is very, very important. The application part. Then that is, when asked to describe yourself, use these accomplishments. Right? I have done these things. I have achieved these heights. So that means, that makes me capable of handling these kind of tasks. The same thing, you must be thinking, and you must be wondering that why I'm moving to the job. Job means any kind of task. As an entrepreneur, also you got to be undertaking some or the other type of job. So there also you have to bind these accomplishments to your job. Then only you can describe to yourself where do you actually fit in, what type of job would you be doing, be able to do better. And then the third aspect, that is set networking objectives. Set goals, clear goals, break it down into specific tasks, achievable tasks. So, and give yourself a reward once you have achieved a small part of your goal. That's self motivation, right? That will boost your morale. That will help you, enable you to move ahead to achieve another milestone, right? So this is the first step, that is self-assessment and setting objectives. In the second one, 1 minute self-self. Now, what exactly is self-self? What comes to your mind when I use this word self-self? A unique word which I have used, but very, very interesting word, right? Self-self means, see, what happens whenever, wherever you are going, even as an entrepreneur, if you go to, say, DIC with your project in your hand, the regional director over there would be obviously would be interacting to you. Now, what happens is that 60-second or less time given to you to answer the question, yes, madam, how can I help you? The way you speak about yourself, the way you put yourself, put forth yourself, is going to decide whether he is going to give you further time or not. Right? So that 60 seconds or less description about yourself and your motive of coming is this self-self. And let me tell you one thing, guys, this self-self is very, very important. Nobody has that much of time except your teachers or your parents to listen to your ranting for hours and hours together. Nobody has time today. Even at one point of time, your parents, your Ketan will say, okay, fine, just cut it short, right? So all you have is those 60 seconds or maybe less than that to create an aura about yourself, to create an impression about yourself. What exactly do you want from the other party, and why should the other person listen to you? Right? And there the self-self will help. So what should this self-self comprise of? Obviously, the history part, that is your highlights of your career to date, right? Whatever, or you can say your accomplishments, your achievements. Plans, what you are seeking, what you want in future, and be very, very specific. 1, 2, 3. Do not at all beat around the bush. And then ask question. Open two-way communication. Have I made myself clear? Let him answer your question, or let the other party know. Right? And as you can see out here, I've written it, be concise, clear, and compelling. This is the, again, I must say, the focus point. Right? Be very, very concise, to the point, specific, clear. The choice of words should be such that you have made your point very, very clear in front of the other, and he has also understood what you wanted to convey. Right? And compelling. Compelling. That uh, that energy should come out when you talk. Right? The other person, it should not come out, it should not feel to the other person that your approach is very, very casual. No. Right? That urgency, that energy should be felt by the other person as well. And then only he would start paying attention to what you just now said, and then only he would be interested in talking to you further and in understanding in detail from you what exactly you want to say. Okay. Next is develop your network. Start with primary contacts. That is people you know. Document these contacts. How are you going to document these contacts? Make a list. Make a directory. Who are who? Make a detail about or find out all the details about these people, their schooling, their college, their friends, their professional life, anything that you get your hands on. Let me tell you one thing else. Any information and every information is worth it. You may be feeling that why I should develop these connects. Yes, they are going to benefit you in future. You might be thinking, why should I have that much information about these primary contacts? It is going to help you in future. It is going to help you in deciding upon how you should or at what level you should take your connects with these people. Right? So document these contacts. And then ask for secondary contacts. A very important thing. How do we further strengthen or further our contacts? Of course, these primary contacts are going to help you, Please give me some referrals. You must have heard this particular phrase many other times in your life. People calling you on the phone, ma'am, I'm selling the house loan. Do you want a house loan? You say, no, thank you. I don't require any house loan. Ma'am, can you give me some referrals? So why are they looking for those referrals? Why are they asking for referrals? In order to further their contacts. Those are the secondary contacts. Right? While I'm talking to you, I suddenly remember a person I came in contact with. He is a retired uh, senior police official and very successfully carrying out MBA business. You would have all heard about this business MBA. Now, I was just having talked to him and I just asked him this question. He said, how do you make your contacts? So his first question, the answer was, the first statement was, ma'am, this is due to my profession which I have had. Uh, I have a lot. Fine. But there is a limit. I understand that that list of contacts would be, of course, bigger than what I have. But still, there is a limit. He said, yes. And then one more thing he said, very interesting one. If you have to carry out your business, you can never only bank upon your primary contacts. Because your primary contacts are the ones who are actually going to discourage you for your business most. What are you doing? ये क्या लेके बैठ गए? Did you find anything better to do in life? Those kind of things. So, who is going to actually give you business? Who's actually going to help you in augmenting your business? Is those secondary contacts who do not know you at all. Now the question comes, how to do that? So the same question I asked this gentleman, and his answer was amazing but practically correct. He said, what actually I do, whenever I go for a movie or I go to this shopping mall or wherever I go, my wife is busy in shopping, what do I do? So I just carry, whenever I go, I just carry bunch of visiting cards with me. And I just happen to observe people, whomever I feel could be the prospects for my business. I just go and say hello to them, introduce myself, what would happen maximum? They'll say no. That's all. So either if the person says yes, I invite him to my office. If the person says no, I simply say, can you please give me some reference? And 90% of the time, people do give. I know this is not that feasible, practically feasible. You must be thinking, but yes, this is this is possible. All you have to do is just keep your ego little aside, maybe at your home when you are doing this thing, because ultimately जो बिकता है वही आपको रेवेन्यू देता है बिजनेस में. So unless until your product is sold, you will not get revenue. In order to sell your product, in order to grow your business, you have to keep your ego aside at your home when you are out. Make your network. Another gentleman I met, he was rather one of my students, doing a very good business in insurance selling. Let me tell you, insurance selling. People say most difficult business amongst all. But he is doing it so nicely, so successfully. Today he has a huge network, and he developed this network in given 3 years time. Let me tell you, 3 years, right? What he used to do, wherever he went, whomever he met, he just small pleasantries shared, and after that, he used to while chatting, he used to talk about his product. Many of the times, like whenever he came to us, the teachers, we used to say, Shutosh, please, no business talk over here. So he used to just laugh, right? But then, of course, but at the same time, he used to say, ma'am, I tell you everything, whatever is there in the market. I don't expect you to take my product. It's just that I'm updating you. I'm giving you some knowledge about the market. That's all. So, but of course, by way of doing this, he has developed a bond with us. He has developed this contact that whenever we have any such requirement, or whenever anyone known to us has any such requirement, the first name that comes to the mind is them. So this is how you develop your network. And let me tell you again, I repeat, these are the secondary contacts which actually give you business. Primary contacts will only give you discouragement, right? But of course, they are also equally important and necessary, because they are the people who are going to fetch you those secondary contacts, right? So fine. Both type of contacts are important, very important, necessary to develop your network and grow your business. Next is networking interviews. Okay. Network interviews are designed to help learn specifics about your field of interest. Now, these how do you conduct these networking interviews? Networking interviews means you conduct interviews, or you take interviews with people whom you want to network or you want to be connected with, right? In order to create that connection and to know and share the common aspects, commonalities between you and that person. Without any commonalities, there will not be any bonding. Right? The first thing can be a phone call. I want to take 5 minutes of your precious time. Am I? Yeah, the person will say, okay, fine, come, 5 minutes given, fine. So take that time and then meet. Go and meet that person on that scheduled time for sure. Reason being, if a person has given you time, he is expecting you to be there at least 5 minutes before the time. Right? And secondly, that that is going to ensure your seriousness, your commitment towards networking. So please be there. And then the third point, as I have mentioned here, most people are willing to help you. And let me tell you guys, this is a proven fact. I myself have uh, tried it, used it, and I found the desired result. Whenever you ask for help, people will never say no. You say them, I need the help. I said, yes, bataiye, tell me, how can I help you? Otherwise, also, when you go and visit somebody, professionally I'm talking about, and the first sentence that comes out is, yes, tell me, how can I help you? Right? So most people are willing to help you. Only thing is, you should know how and how much help can you seek from a concerned person. Right? There are times when you have asked for the help, the person is not able to help you at that point of time. Not to worry, not to worry. Leave your business cards or your resumes. In case if you are a candidate for a job, leave your resume. You're an entrepreneur, a business person, leave your business card. Whenever he needs, whenever he has the opportunity, he will certainly call you back to help. Right? And that would be the time when you will thank yourself. I went there and left mark. This is the power of networking, guys. Further to that, establish rapport. How are you going to do that? Just praise and read the person, thank them for their time, and state your purpose clearly. Deliver your 1 minute self, your accomplishments, whatever you have achieved, your future goal, what you want to do in future, and why have you come here, your proposal. Right? That self is very important. It comes handy many places, everywhere, while you are there to build your contacts. Ask prepared questions. Better would be that you prepare a short list of concise and relevant questions and you ask them instead of just beating around the bush, creating impromptu questions. Most of them would be irrelevant ones. Don't do that. Do your homework, then go. Get additional contacts. Always ask for reference. Right? And let me tell you, they will never mind giving you. At least 2 to 3 people, they will certainly give you. Further, ask how you can be of help to them. Help is a mutual thing. If they are helping you, obviously, they all expect someday, some point of time, you will also be helping them. So ask how you can be of help to them. And then follow, follow, follow with a thank you note and serious one. So this is how this networking interview goes. Then comes another aspect, that is maintaining and coalitions. Uh, yes, it is. I will say that it is very easy to build contacts, but it is equally difficult to maintain those contacts. And this is what actually where we are all weak. We build the contacts, but when these contacts need us, we shy away. We are not able to maintain these contacts. What happens? When we have the need, we follow up them, we pursue them like anything. We literally hover upon them. Right? We leave the card also. Every third day, we'll just give a call also. Whenever we are in that area, we'll just immediately visit them also. Now, when they have the requirement, they have a need of our help, what happens? We usually just do not pick up the call. That's bad. Right? Because again, networking is a two-way process, no? It's communication, two-way process. It's mutual, mutual give and take process. If you just think, if you just keep on thinking, you take help from others, but you don't give them, then of course it's not going to work. So maintaining that network of connections is important, very, very important. And then there is this word called coalition. Now, moving further. So keep everyone in your network informed of your progress and status, right? These days, we have so many tools available to us. WhatsApp is always handy in our hand. Whatever is happening, just share with all of them, with your network. Best way out, easy way out, right? Then always continue to grow and update your network. That's very important. You just cannot bank upon a small network that you have developed today for ages. You should continue to grow and update your network. And yes, that is possible only by adding to that secondary contacts. And as I said before also, who's going to give you those secondary contacts? Of course, primary contacts. So as you keep on making your connections, as you keep on growing your network, your secondary contacts in a at a later stage become your primary contacts, and then these primary contacts will further give you secondary contacts. So you can understand the power of growth through this networking. Then we talk of coalitions. Now, coalition was a short-term network used to meet a specific goal. Right? For example, suppose you get connected with, say, Chief Minister of UP. Somehow, I know this is hypothetical, but fine. This is also not impossible, at least these days, right? Uh, since this is an entrepreneurship training program, so I can very safely say out here that you just show your inclination to become an entrepreneur. You have a project ready, and in case if you want to meet the CM and discuss or just show your keenness on doing something for the betterment or upliftment of the state, you will certainly meet me, right? Yeah. And people are needy. So obviously, um, you develop a certain kind of network for a very, very specialized purpose, that you want a particular project from government for which you meet certain people in the government. You create a network with them, and once you get that project, or once your part is done, then of course you do not need to every day say hello and hi to Chief Minister of UP, right? Because your part is done. Of course, you are grateful to him, but you cannot every day just go and sit with him, or share tea or coffee with him, or his or the people around him, right? So this is kind of a quiz, which is there. It's a short-term network. You connect with some people for a specific time period, get the things done, start the progress. As soon as the progress is there, and then you move ahead. Right? So of course that is also a very good way of having connections. Right? Now, this is something the talk of the town, or the, I must say, thing of today, digital networking. Okay? Same rules are applied as in case of in-person networking. It's just that instead of the face-to-face networking, we are using a particular medium, and here the medium is the social networking sites. If you want to sell your product, Facebook is the best medium. You want to create a network with the professionals, LinkedIn is another very good medium or platform rather. So digital networking, and the other I can say advantage of digital networking is that you can have network with a variety of people across the boundaries. There is no dearth, right? Of course, you should not go and make a connection with Imran Khan from Pakistan. That right, but yes, In case of other country, you can go beyond your boundaries, right? So digital networking is also there. Next, we move on to the other part of the presentation, that is negotiation and negotiating. For a business to carry out in a smoother way, at times you have to negotiate things. You have to negotiate your terms. You have to negotiate about the prices of the products. You have to negotiate about uh, other related things about your product with the other parties. At times there are conflicting situations, and you, in order to resolve those situations, you have to negotiate. So negotiation is part and parcel of your business. You have to do it, and that is why we have taken it here also. So as the term says, it's a process in which two or more parties have something the other wants. That is the bone of contention here, right? I have something which other person wants, because he does not have that thing. No, he wants the same thing which I have, and comes in this conflict in picture. And wherever there is a conflict, there has to be a negotiation, a bargaining process, uh, in order to create peace and harmony. Right? So that is what negotiation is all about, and that is why it's called bargaining also. Where and when? So we conflict whenever there is a conflict. We negotiate whenever there is a conflict of interest. You are accepting a job or giving a job, terms are not suiting. You have to negotiate. In a factory-like situation, the workers are not acceptable to the terms laid down by the owners or the management. There is a conflict of interest, and of course negotiation is required. Moreover, those who are in the job, you are looking for a raise, you have to negotiate with your boss, the maliks, that you've been working for such a long time, you've been giving your full dedication, yet you're not getting anything in return. So you're looking for a raise, right? So whenever there is a conflict of interest, there is negotiation. These are two negotiation strategies: distributive bargaining and integrative bargaining. Distributive bargaining or zero sum game, that is while in the process of negotiation, uh, there is a gain in for one party and loss for another party. It's win-lose situation. One party gains, the other party loses. Or we can say one party gains at the expense of other party. So in all, there is no gain. So it is plus minus zero. That is why we say zero sum game. Second is integrative bargaining, also known as win-win situation, where negotiation is done to give everyone a good deal, something in which both the parties leave some of their issues and accept the issues of the other parties, right? So that both of them are agreeing to the solution unanimously. As a result, is a win-win situation. Both the parties are at a gains end, right? So that is why it is known as win-win situation, and that is why we call it as integrative bargaining also, because here the solution has been brought to the problem which was causing the conflict. As a result, both the parties have integrated and came together, became one team to work together, right? And that is why we say it's a win-win situation. Now, how to arrive or how to carry out this integrative bargaining? So, obviously, your trust is a major factor. It should be open, honest, and flexible in order to carry out negotiation. Okay. Now, this is the process of negotiation. It's a 4-step process. Plan, bargain, maybe postpone, agreement or no agreement. Planning means these things are there, right? Success or failure of negotiation depends upon a good plan. Research the other party. You should know your opponent well. Set goals. Have a specific target and be willing to walk away unless you get it. Open with something higher than that you will settle for. Anticipate questions and objections from your opponent that he is certainly going to do it. And therefore, you should be ready to answer everything that could possibly come up from it. And then also keep your options and trade-offs ready. Because as I said, in case if you are looking for an integrative bargaining process or a win-win solution, then yes, you have to leave some issues. You have to accept the issues, some of the issues of the other party. So there, those trade-offs or the options on which the discussions can be held should be ready with you. The next step is the bargaining process. Develop that rapport. As I said in the beginning also, they read the other person, focus on obstacles, never attack the other person on a personal level. That is very, very important. No name calling allowed. Focus on the issues which are creating the conflict. Do not or never attack other person on a personal level. Right? Then let the other party make the first offer. And that can be used as a starting point of bargaining. Now, here is a catch. The catch is that suppose we are here in Lucknow, what will happen? Pehle aap. Nobody will speak, right? So there, at times, if we have mediators, they're fortunate enough, the mediator can ask any party to start with. Otherwise, somebody has to take the initiative to start with in order to open up the whole discussion, right? Then listen and ask questions about the other party's needs and do not move too fast. Do not be desperate in arriving to a conclusion. Give time to the other party also in order to just understand and reflect upon whatever they are wanting and you are wanting, and then come to a conclusion. This is the, you can say, an example kind of a thing. Right? As you can say, this is your partner, this is the other party's partner, and then the other party's target, your target, and then the bargaining range is. That is how the bargaining process takes place. Now, this is something important to postpone or not. Right? For a good negotiator, honesty and integrity is imperative. As I said earlier also, do not create a sense of urgency or desperation unless until it is really true. Unless there is the time is the essence, you have to be urgent, you have to be desperate. Otherwise, both the parties should be given ample amount of time to understand, to reflect on each other's issues, and then come to a justified conclusion. So sometimes agreeing to let someone sleep on it may be best. You should know when to pressure and when to let it go. Because giving time does not mean that we simply just forget about that this has to be done. No. In case if the party is taking too much of time, then yes, reminders are required. Right, but at the same time, you cannot just show your desperation. Right, so you should know when to pressure and when to let it go. So as to keep on giving those reminders also to the other party, at the same time giving them ample time to understand the whole issue, because we have to understand one thing here. If I want a solution to the conflict, Similarly, the other party also wants the solution, right? So time, yeah, that time factor is, if it is for us, it is for the other party as well. They should also honor the time, no? So that is why that the pressure tactics has to be played. And then agreement or no agreement. So one thing is there is no concept. Whenever there is a bargaining process, a negotiation process, there is no concept of no agreement, right? Because everyone agrees on the terms, whether through a mediator or on their own. But agreement is always arrived. It is just a matter of some time. But yes, at times this may be the case that there is a deadlock. As I said, both the parties are stuck on particular issues. They don't want to compromise. They don't want to get back. So if some such kind of situation is there, then a third party or a mediator is required. And I don't think there is any harm in having a mediator here, right? At times these mediators are able to bring both the parties to an agreement ultimately, because the conflict will be resolved only when there is an agreement. So agreement has to be there and agreement would be there. So no agreement is no situation in uh, negotiation. Then networking and negotiating globally. Right? Whenever you are networking and negotiating on a global level, because when we are talking of entrepreneurship, when we are talking of business, obviously nowadays business are going beyond the boundaries. When it is so, then yes, the business negotiation will be carried out even beyond the boundaries as well. So there are certain things are there which need to be kept in mind. One, the cultural differences need to be checked. Right? Second, variations for global negotiating. Time to reach an agreement. Focus on relationships versus tasks. Use of power tactics, verbal and non-verbal communication, and correct greetings and rituals. That is very, very important. As a result, these are certain examples, like Israelis, like good arguments. Japanese, they prefer being civil. Americans are impatient and want quick results. Russians view concessions as a sign of weaknesses. So, before going to the, while you are going for a negotiation or networking with these countries, and if you know about these things, then it will only help you further, right? So, with this, I end up this session. Thank you. Over to Jayashree ma'am.
So this is again quiz time. So participant, those having any queries related with this negotiation, networking related, so please can put here. I'm pasting the quiz link in the chat box meanwhile. So negotiation is what? Nobody having any questions? Yes. Ma'am, is there any quality that is most helpful in negotiation?
Hello, this is Jayashree.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible now?
Yeah, your voice is cracking actually. Tell me. Yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, is there any quality that is most helpful in negotiation?
You should be open to communication.
Okay.
One should be open to communication. That is the most important thing which is required in negotiation.
Communication skill should be developed for
Communication
time.
skills should be there, and people should be open for communication.
Okay.
The moment communication it is stopped, negotiation will also be stopped.
Okay. Yes. Yes. So, is there any thing that does ego play? Is there ego play a role in negotiation? Ego is a factor. Ego is there. Ego is the factor for barring the negotiation.
Yes, of course, Jayashree, ego is or attitude, personal attitudes, of course, hinder the process of negotiation a lot, right? That is why, as I said, ego should be kept at home, because you should, when you are going for negotiation, you should be open, and you should be ready mentally also for negotiation purposes.
Mhm. Yes, ma'am. So I think just for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, we will start the session, ma'am.